Okay.
Hey, hello.
And we're back.
We're back. We were waiting for an intro, but I don't
It's
think it
been
ran.
so long. I hope everyone survived. No, I'm kidding. No, I hope your feast was great.
Yeah, it was a great feast where I was at. In between the lakes, we had a really great crowd there. I think 200 to 300 that showed up.
Oh, wow.
Quite a few people. A great time, and then went down to St. Pete, Florida. And again, a couple hundred people, just a wonderful feast. I wish I could have been at both of them the whole time, but
I know,
definitely
it's so
great.
hard. I was at Big Sandy the first day, and there were a lot of people there. There was a lot of fellowship going on there. And then on day 5, we went to Branson, and so much fun. We have friends that are like family, so that feels like a family feast site to me. But then we went to Harrison on the last day, our CGI feast site, and that was really warm and welcoming too. Lots of great people there. Got to see a lot of fans there too.
I did meet a lot of people who watch Bring on the Sabbath. So if you're watching tonight, hey, good to have you watching. It's always good to kind of picture in your head who's watching out there.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little less nerve-wracking when we're up here when we
That's
know
true.
who we're talking to.
It's nice to meet
They're
people.
good folks, yes.
I love it. All right.
All right.
Well, I think Wesley, are we gonna have feast replays from St. Petersburg? Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, that's right.
That's your announcement.
I read that earlier and I thought that and I was like, oh no, that's not the right thing. Oh yes, we are going to have feast replays for St. Petersburg, Florida, and also Land Between the Lakes, Kentucky on our CGI.org website. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you go there right now, you can find it right on the front page. There's links that you can watch the replays of all the sermons, and now we've added to LBL some of the seminars, so you'll be able to watch those as well.
Awesome.
And I'm right here. I'm signed into Facebook to see who we got.
Oh, good.
There,
Well, I can tell you who we got over here. We have Margie. We have Margie who's with us tonight, and Skip is on. Hi,
Hello, Skip.
And John Dickerson, an old friend of mine, he's from Arkansas. He was in Big Sandy at the last part of the feast, but he and his wife are good friends. And we also have Trina Bill Casely from Cincinnati. Hopefully Jim's there with her. He might be at work, but we don't know. He's a firefighter, so he's a very good public servant. So it's good to see you out there, Trina. And let's see, we have Alina too, and Ray also, and Christine is also with us. So welcome, and we're so glad that y'all are back with us. Thanks for coming to visit us this evening.
Yes, it's good to have everybody on there. I'll look through Facebook here in a moment, but do join us for our webcast tomorrow. We will have a special guest, Bill Watson, and guess what?
He's on Bots tonight.
He'll be on Bots tonight as well. So
he's going to come up here as soon as we get through these announcements.
When we get through the announcements, we will have Bill Watson be joining us as well. And maybe we can ask him what he's speaking about.
He's here, and he's even had pizza, just like us. You know how we do it.
Yeah.
All right. We're also going to be having family praise, education, and prayer tomorrow at 2 p.m. after services. And the message for praise for our PEP service will be given by Bill Watson.
All right.
We are really working it.
So if you like Bill,
we're going
to see a lot of Bill over the next 24 hours.
We're squeezing every dime we can get out of him. Yeah, we hope you like him. I'm sure you do. Oh.
And okay, we also have, but if you don't like Bill, but I'm sure you do, everybody likes Bill. We have Adrian's new Bible study that we that started actually last week, and then we had the second part of it this week, and it's the Gospel according to Isaiah, where Adrian is actually going through the second half of Isaiah, and I think he's presenting that Isaiah is kind of like a mini Bible, and there's a lot of it that relates to the Old Testament and New Testament, and I guess and you can actually discover the Gospel by going through Isaiah. So he's gone through 2 programs so far. Probably going to take a while to get to Isaiah. So tune in.
I imagine.
That's Wednesdays at 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time for Adrian's Bible study.
He's probably going to be there a while.
It's going to be a while with Isaiah. I think Isaiah's a big one.
Also, ladies, I want you to clear your calendars in spring. I know I announced this on our last spots, But we are going to be hosting a women's retreat here in Tyler, Texas. It might just be north of here, about 20 minutes in Hawkins, actually. But the plans are in the works. I've made some announcements at different feast sites in the area or that were close by. And just next week when we come back, I'm going to have some promotional items and we're going to have actual dates set. So hang in there. We're going to get all the information up and going on our CGI.org website as soon as possible. But tomorrow we're having our preliminary leaders meeting and we're going to be making decisions on all of that. So we're going to have lots of information for you next week here on Bots and on our website.
You put a lot of effort into that meeting, didn't you?
I did. I mean,
I looked over at your notes a while ago, and it's quite a pretty impressive spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be attending here tomorrow and want to be a part of that, it's going to be quite a
We're going to have a little working lunch here after services before we do our PEP service. So if you are a lady that would like to help with that and you're in the area, come on over and join us for that meeting, because it is anyone who is willing to serve people and serve God at the same time, just come on in.
All right, and now we're going to see who's watching online. From Facebook, we have Happy Sabbath to all from Manila, Philippines. That's Christy Mags. I'm sorry with these pronunciations. Magsambal. Jeff Steele says, "Hey there, Happy Sabbath." John Black says,
Jeff.
"Hello." Trudy Cranford says, "Hi, Happy Sabbath from Salisbury, North Carolina." And Willow Al says, "Happy Sabbath from Columbia." Beth Hester says, "Shabbat Shalom." So Beth, I saw her down at the feast down in Florida. It's good to have you on there. My dad is watching, so hey, Dad's watching from Trussville, Alabama.
Mr. Reed?
Mr. Reed, yes, is watching. And let's see. Rebecca Cunningham says she loves Adrian's Bible studies. Yes, I mean they're great Bible studies. So definitely, if you haven't caught these Bible studies, we have them archived as with a lot of other Bible studies on our website. You can go to where it has on the website. Just look under Bible studies, and there's actually a big picture on the front also to make it easy. You click on that big picture that says Bible studies. It will take you and you'll see a list of all Adrian's Bible studies and other Bible studies from others that's been done over the years. So.
I enjoy finding backup for my Bots topics on his Bible studies. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot to cover. There's a lot on there. So we have, there's a lot of folks who have joined us on Facebook tonight. Thank you. Mindy Darrenberry says, "Happy Sabbath" from Michigan. Alan McCarty. I know some McCartys are down there in Florida, and we have to mention that we're definitely praying for those who were affected by the hurricane. And if you're on there watching from that area, let us know if you're safe. I think a few have seen have like marked themselves safe on Facebook. But definitely our prayers go out to those. We have Patty Fonteo says, "Happy Sabbath from Miami." So we have Miami on there. Rita Orgel is Happy Sabbath, watching on Roku, but got on Facebook this year. So again, you can watch us in various different formats. And then, and I'll let you get back to there, and we'll go to YouTube. We have Super Jim, greetings from Vancouver, British Columbia. Carl Notcribe, also I guess in British Columbia. No, he's not British Columbia. He's in the East Coast. Mimi, who was in British Columbia, is on there as well. She says Happy Sabbath, I think, and Jackie Hearn says Happy Sabbath as well. So that's all we have so far.
Have you realized who's missing?
Who's missing?
Amy Hohertz.
Well, we don't have Amy Hohertz
She's
on here.
not on here.
Usually she's on here twice. But if you're out there, Amy, you need to let us know you're watching.
Come on, Amy. Where are you? I'm sure she may have been like driving home late or something. She has a pretty big trek all the way across Dallas for her job, so she might be getting home a little bit late this evening. But we have a few more on excuse me, our church online site. We have Faye and Trudy51 is also out there, and Skip writes a note. He says it's going to be great to see Bill again. He says the last time I saw him, we were both more than a few years younger. And he stayed with Diane and me on his way back from Ohio from a funeral. And they sat out on the back deck and talked till 3 a.m. Do you remember that, Bill? He's shaking his head yes. So,
yeah, and Skip Martin, well, we mentioned Skip Martin. Skip Martin is going to join us on the first bring on the Sabbath we have in November. Not exactly sure of the date, but the first one in November, Skip Martin will be here with us on that
well,
Friday.
we're looking forward to seeing you here, Skip, in person. It's been a
I
while.
hope that's going to work out okay. We're going to let you speak. We'll see what happens. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, I have Rob Giovi on here also, and he says hello from New York. And Henry Small is from Ocho Rios in Jamaica.
All right, so I think we got them covered, every continent covered almost. So
Oh,
good.
and Buddy made it too. So Faye and Buddy are
All
both
right.
on here. That's awesome.
So again, we're happy to have everybody joining out there. We had a problem when we did the opening, and so I'm hoping we're not going to have this problem when we go to break.
Not either.
If not, we're going to have to set up and you have to watch it. But we're going to go to break. When we get back from break, we're happy to be joined by our guest, Mr. Bill Watson. So unless you get anything else, we're going to go to break.
I'm good.
See if we can go to break.
Hi, we'd like to offer you some free literature on today's program. We want to offer you, have the Old Testament dietary laws been abolished? Are the clean, unclean laws God gave to ancient Israel enforced today? Were they given to the Hebrews only, or did God give them for the benefit of all mankind? Get this pamphlet to learn more. We also want to offer you why we keep the law. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. Matthew 19, verse 17. Please get both of these pamphlets and learn more about this interesting subject. To get both of these items, all you need to do is call toll-free 1-888-578-8791. That's 1-888-578-8791, or visit our website, www.cgi.org. That's www.cgi.org.
All right, we're back. We managed to
Welcome
find
back.
him. He's
we
here.
are. Hey, here we are. Hi, Jeff.
All right.
Here we are on this side of the camera. This is the first time. Do you know this is the first time that I've been on this side of the camera with you?
Yeah, I'm usually
That's
on
right.
the other side of the camera.
Doing
That's
the
right.
filming. So it's kind of different for me a little bit.
Yeah,
to
just like
be
this
with you on
guy's
side.
usually behind the camera.
That's right. That's right. Live from Tyler, Texas.
Is this the first time you've been on this side of the camera with me? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, that's right. Far be it from me to forget that, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, good to be
I'm the
here.
comic
Good to be
relief
here.
as usual.
Yeah. Well, it is live from Tyler, Texas. It's
Yes.
Friday night. I've been wanting to say that.
Sabbath. And we're bringing on the Sabbath.
I'm
Well,
bringing on
the
the Sabbath.
Sabbath,
The Sabbath
was,
began actually at 6:53.
6:53. Oh, too.
At least in Tyler.
Yeah.
And probably in Ohio, it would probably be getting pretty close or already
Yeah, a
started.
little bit later, maybe about 7
We
or
might be
so.
bringing it on for Mimi, though,
Oh,
over in British
it-
Columbia.
It's 8:15 in Cleveland.
So it would have been before.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Or-
here I am, part of the Bots gang.
Yes.
Wow, I
We're
can't
already
believe
getting
it.
comments.
All right.
Beautiful Jory says, I love Bill Watson. This is going to be a great bot.
Yeah.
Bottoms up.
And if you're out there watching, make sure you give us your comments. We want to see your comments. We want to read your comments tonight.
And interact a little bit.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, on YouTube, or you're on our cgi.churchonline.org website, we are looking for your comments. And you can also send it to the email bots@cgi, which may get to me tonight, may not. But the quickest is on Facebook or YouTube.
It's kind of cool the way you're watching all this.
Yeah,
You got it
we're
in
having
real time. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
we're keeping up with things.
High tech, I'm telling you, boy, it's 21st
Yeah,
century
and
stuff.
it's not an Apple commercial. We're not doing an Apple
No,
commercial.
it's
right.
not.
Yeah.
Did you see our monitors?
No duct tape though. You should
No.
put duct tape on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And hopefully you
Very,
had a great flight in. And
Did, yep, very uneventful. A little bit bumpy but between Dallas and Tyler, but that's usual. I don't know what it is with the wind, in that particular section, but
Yeah.
I've got some stories I can tell you, but I don't want to take the time going back and forth
Yeah.
over the years between Tyler and Dallas.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who know who you are, and I'm sure we have people who probably are probably just tuned in tonight and like, who are these folks?
Mm-hmm.
So you're from Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm a native of Cleveland, Ohio.
And you're the pastor of record for
Medina.
Okay.
And a few other churches that are in outskirted areas because we don't have any pastors in those areas.
Yeah, and we do webcasts, and a lot of y'all probably do tune in to
From
our
Medina.
webcast.
Yeah, from
Medina.
Yeah, on 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And it gives them an hour to watch that, and then tune over to us when y'all are finished.
And then you can do that. Yeah, you can do that because it works out just perfect. Almost,
we have quite a few that do that.
Yeah, get a double dose.
And there's
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. But it is good to be here with both of you, and thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about some of the things that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I guess we're going to do two segments here tonight. I guess the first segment we're going to talk about some of what you, as far as in the ministry, have been doing evangelistically. Because again, you are a producer of the Armor of God television program. How long have you been producer of that program?
That's a long time. It seems. Matter of fact, I was thinking about that here shortly, and it's now 16 years. 16 years that I've been doing the program, and 6 now with you, right?
6 years that I've been collaborating on the program.
Margie, my wife, as well, behind the scenes.
And Margie, she does an excellent job. Bill's wife is excellent as an editor and does a great job with the. If you watch the YouTube little short videos we have, she puts those together and does extremely great.
Yeah, and it's just amazing when I think about how the three of us working together to produce the Armor of God when some other organizations have like 12 people doing it. But it's a nice scientific methodology we've got, putting together with your efforts and Margie's and
we put on a lot of hats.
So that's right. Yeah.
And we prove it can be done.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you see our bare bone staff here too.
Yeah.
But I
We
mean,
work very effectively.
well, it's kind of synergistic. When we work together, it kind of is a synergistic thing. We get more energy from each other.
That's exactly the way it works. You build off each other. That's right. You play off each other. But it's been a busy year this year, traveling wise. For some of you out there that may not be aware of this, the year kicked off sadly with the passing of Pastor Boyne in Jamaica, of which caused us to become very active in the area for quite a while. I was down there for about a week as he was experiencing about a half a dozen heart attacks almost in a row over about a 24 to 36 hour period. And then I left and went back home, and 5 days later that's when he passed, and then I had to go back and camped out there in Jamaica for about a month. It was a difficult time, a lot of work at that time, a lot of good people down in Jamaica, and those of you who are from Jamaica viewing us today, howdy from Texas, good to have you on board here this evening. But I do want to take my hat off to the Board of Deacons there who are working so feverishly and hard in doing what they can to continue to provide the leadership that George Ramakan and myself have been very busily trying to organize and essentially participate in. Things have been working out real well down in Jamaica. Matter of fact, I was just down there again for 2 weeks in August and kind of reviewed, went to Ocho Rios, went over to Maroon Town, went over to Kingston, had a meeting with Spanish Town's pastor, Hall, Pedro Hall, and he and I had lunch and talked a little bit about what was going on down there. And things are really, it was kind of a review meeting to just see how we did with the objectives that we had laid down back in January. And everything, I mean, we made some real good progress down there. And again, my hat goes off to all of the Board of Deacons and the congregation down there of Kingston, and the interaction now that is occurring through Maroon Town and Ocho Rios. We got people traveling and speaking, sharing opportunities with sermons and that.
Did you hear how their Feast of Tabernacles went?
I didn't. I heard that from George that it went real well.
Okay.
It was very high energy. There were about 350 people in Ocho, and I believe there was about 120 or so over in Portland, which is kind of in the mountain area there that Pedro Hall coordinated. George coordinated this year, Ocho Rios, and Adrian was there, as a matter of fact, for the whole feast as well. Okay. So it went real well.
Pretty good church. I think Jamaica, and I looked the statistic up, so that is for the countries in the world, per capita has the highest number of Sabbath keeping people in that country. Maybe from the efforts they've been doing there.
Well, uniquely enough, it is a very intensely plowed area from the Seventh-day Adventists. When I went down some 8-9 years ago and married Pastor Boyne to Margaret, and had opportunity at the reception to have dinner with the Seventh-day Adventist minister, he told me, he said, "Bill, how many congregations do you think we have down here?" I said, "I don't know, 30, 40, 50? How about 600? I said, 600?
Wow.
What?
Wow.
That's what I said. He said, yeah, we got about 600 Seventh-day Adventist congregations. The largest one is in Kingston. They're over 1,000. Over 1,000 people, from what I understand from that conversation I had. So it was an amazing realization anyway, and the Church of God Seventh Day also has been doing a lot of work down there. So it is quite
So I think most of the population understands that there are Sabbath-keeping Christians.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably because of the efforts of them and others. And also Ian, because he was a well-known
personality, celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. And in this, to the point of the Church of God Seventh Day, they are actually some of the groups, because there's a certain independence among the congregations, and consequently, they are beginning to embrace the holy days. So now we're beginning to get an influx of individual congregations and their pastors to begin to explore the holy days. And if I'm correctly understanding Pedro, some of them have been in attendance over in Portland.
All right.
So that's one of the reasons why I think we went up over 100 people.
Whenever I was younger, we had a family that came here from Michigan, and it was the Powlett that Bob was talking about earlier when we were having dinner. His wife was Seventh-day Adventist in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and they were starting to embrace the holy days.
Oh,
but it was probably, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe a little bit less.
Could be, yeah. Well, within the Seventh-day Adventist arena, the holy days goes hot and cold. On and off.
I remember Samuel Bakioki
yeah.
was a big advocate for the holy days.
Right, right. Yeah, wrote 2 books real quick on the holy days. Yeah, amazing writer.
Yeah.
But Jamaica is certainly an exciting area for evangelism and growth. They've got a lot of tremendous potential. Also, I went to Australia this year and ordained Bob Schofield.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Schofield is now an ordained minister in Australia, and is in the general Brisbane area, Gold Coast area there in Australia, and doing real well, along with, of course, Herb Hope of our original group there in Buna, I think is where Herb is. And then we have, of course, the Philippines, where we had you and I had gone. I understand did real well. They sent in a report, and Renee was basically mentioning how wonderful their feast was over there in Manila. And I guess they had 2 other feast sites this year. One over 100 people, from what I understand, and the other one, I don't know how many were in that particular area. But
all right, great. And I guess with the Philippines, we were there. What was 2 years ago? And it just
was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago now.
Unbelievable.
Almost, I think. And time goes by so quick because I guess since then
slow it down.
We've had 3 different of our elders go there.
That's right. Yeah.
Since we went.
Roger King went. No, yeah, 3. Roger, Wayne, and Mike James went this year.
Just went, and
wow.
Again, and I know we have the Philippines watching, and it's probably you're probably getting ready for your afternoon Sabbath service in the Philippines,
right
now.
Exactly.
If you're watching or you're watching on your phone, or something on the way. It's not while you're driving, hopefully.
It's about 8:30 in the morning over there, I think. Yeah,
but
on Saturday.
Definitely, just a wonderful group of people in the Philippines.
Very
So excited about God's word, and and you can see some of the pictures we have behind them. Very nice. Very nice when they get dressed up really nice for
That's right.
for the Sabbath services.
Yeah.
I know they have formals over there.
Yeah, very formal, very nice.
Yeah. And they're just another group that we've got going in addition to the Philippines and Jamaica is London, where George Romacon is. George Romacon has now got a full-blown congregation in downtown London in the UK, and is doing Bible studies with a group in Pakistan, of all things. And uniquely enough, in this particular case, these Pakistanis were actually former Catholics, as I understand it, in talking with George, and they kept Pentecost this year.
Wow.
They kept Pentecost from the
That's
Bible studies
awesome.
that George was conducting with them. So it was.
I think from
really
what I
interesting.
understand is that they want to be known. I guess we have to vet them, but they want to be known as the Church of God International in
They do.
Pakistan.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the Ministerial Council, we're going to be talking about how we
amazing.
can get them possibly into London so that George can baptize them, and begin to work with them a little bit more closely.
Yeah. And we also have some feast sites in Africa that we not.
Kenya,
In Kenya.
I think, yeah, and Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. Roger King would probably be better better talking about that. But there was a group that is that kept the feast.
Yeah,
in
we'll
both those
get those
locations.
feast reports, and they'll be in the international news.
That's right. Yeah, in the next coming issue, which will be in the end of November, I think, from what I understand. And then Canada, of course. I don't think Canada should be left out. There's a tremendous amount of work going on in Canada. We started another group in Kawartha, Canada. For those of you who may be watching that are in the northern Toronto area, in Kawartha Lakes, we're going to be having a campaign being conducted up there on, I think it is the weekend of November 17th and 18th, covering the history of Christmas, covering Christmas, I think it is. So I'll be conducting that, as a matter of fact, up in Kawartha Lakes. And we have Horain Smith, who's in charge of our evangelistic department, for lack of a better term. And it's quite active. We're trying to open up the West, in Calgary and Penticton, and trying to get some new things generated in those particular areas.
Yeah.
So we're excited about it.
Yeah,
We're
that's
excited.
definitely good things
That's
going
awesome.
all over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And one thing also to mention about the Philippines, we have so much on our website that a lot of times people are probably not aware of everything that we offer because there's so much to find. But we'll tell you about a little hidden treasure you can find. If you go to where it says media on the top of the website, you can go down to documentaries, and you'll find a lot of documentaries that we've done. And one of them is the Philippines documentary that we did a couple of years ago. And you can
We had a lot of fun doing that.
You can see what's going on in the Philippines. And then there's some others, some behind the scenes things we did a couple of years ago. And one that we were looking at earlier, back from 2004.
Oh,
behind
yeah,
the scenes.
yeah.
So if you want to see some history.
That's a comedy.
Back when we had more and darker hair.
Yeah, that's right. And more hair.
More and darker. Yeah.
So back
But
in the day.
that Philippines documentary we did, I'll never forget editing that in my dining room there with you. Remember those 3 or 4 days? we
Yeah,
put
I went
that
over
together?
to Bill's house and spent
fun.
the
It
night
was a lot of
for
fun.
2 or 3 days. And every morning, get up, have breakfast, and get there behind the computer.
That's right.
And
yeah.
we would edit.
And going through all of that footage we took. I mean, both of us had all this footage, and we'll like that. We'll edit here. We'll cut and slice. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
got it
Put the
done.
music done.
Got it done.
Yeah.
Got it finished. And
It's amazing what the technology has enabled us to do. And when I was at the feast in Harrison, Charles Gross, who's probably out there watching tonight, if you are, hey, but
Hi, Charles.
he was telling about how Jeff came to him not long ago and said, Charles, we have reached every country in the world. And that is just amazing to know that.
at least one person. I'm not saying we've
Yeah,
reached every person in
at
that
least-
country.
at least
but at least
one
one person
person.
in every country in the world has looked at our website for at least a couple of minutes, maybe.
It's the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
So they're all
Alias,
over. it.
It's a
AKA
worldwide
the Wild,
evangelism.
Wild West.
We have worldwide evangelism.
That's
now.
right, yeah,
And
that's right.
Exactly what we're talking
Which
about.
is a far
That's so
cry
cool.
from our very focused audience back in the day when we were on Inspiration or on the Vision Network. That was very limited.
And we're getting a lot of comments here, so I want to read these comments before they get away from me. And the first one is from Mindy Daraberry. And she says she absolutely loves Bill Watson. I used to attend with her ex Gary in Cleveland. And says a lovely congregation in Medina. Absolutely is. And we have Steve Fizel's watching. Christine Duffy, who was at the feast down in Florida, says Zephaniah says hello.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so,
Yeah.
so he's watching tonight as well. And some person asking, is that Mr. Watson? And yes, it is Mr. Watson, of course. And they're asking, will you be speaking tomorrow? We mentioned that earlier, but a lot of people, they tune in later. You'll be speaking. You have a topic chosen for tomorrow?
I do. I'll be speaking on the Bible.
On the Bible. See, I know, but Bill doesn't like to give away topics. He likes
Never.
to get to bring you in.
It's
with
my
it.
hook. It's my way to
He's a-
hook.
He's got that mysterious aura.
Yeah. So our service will be starting. So here will be, and the guys at 11 a.m. So you can watch it at 11 a.m. If you're in the area.
Central Time.
If you're watching, and I know I can get on the map. I know there's people out there watching in the area in Tyler and Texas. So if you're out there, come on in. we got a lot planned tomorrow. We with that PEP, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So come out and visit us as well. And then we have Alicia Prime's in Nova Scotia and
Nova Scotia.
Hey, Alicia.
Yes,
Wow.
and watching there. And Amy Hobart's finally made it on, so we were looking for her.
Amy,
And,
you're here! Yay! She's not double
Quite a
dipping
few.
yet.
All right.
She is not double dipping yet.
I wanted to mention too, before we get off
Yes.
on this segment, is that in Canada we have recently went on the web with a radio network, a radio network, 24/7. So what you need to do is, I think, go on to our website at cgi.org, go to the international, go to the across the top there where it says ministries, and drop down international, hit international, and then hit on Canada, and I think they'll have the link there posted where you can actually listen to radio, Church of God International material 24/7, sermons pre-recorded, and also salt and peppered with live talk shows in between, as well as music.
Also on your phone is where I actually have the app right here. There's an app for
okay.
CGI Radio Network.
Alrighty.
You click on it right there. It's CGI Radio Network, and I'll click and see who's on right now.
The term translated spirit. Whether you don't
Vance.
know the Greek.
We got Vance Stinson on right
Vance.
now.
Yeah, Vance, how about that?
So now, don't tune on there right now. We don't want you to leave us right now. But when afterwards, you may want to look this up. You can find this app by searching for CGI in the App Store. I think on Android and on the iPhone.
And this was really put together by a couple of members within the Toronto congregation that had some experience in radio, internet radio.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, you were going to say something? Did I step on you?
No, Skip. He just keeps me in stitches sometimes with his comments.
Oh, okay.
He says, Bill says, open your Bible anywhere. We'll get there directly. I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Skip. Yep. Skip's being Skip. Hi, Skipper. That's what I call him, Skipper.
Yeah, I'm actually scared about when he's going to be on the program. A little bit scared.
He's a teddy bear.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have fun. Don't worry.
Keep him
I'm
under
not
control.
scared. No, we want that kind of live personality. Just like, that's why we brought Bill in.
Yeah. Put Skip and me together. We'll stay up all till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Back to the radio network. That radio network
sorry.
is definitely good stuff. I mean, they actually have Armor of Gods they're playing from probably 20 years ago
Yeah.
on there, and they have like music and different things. You can just
Sermons,
put
big variety.
If you're on a long drive in your car, put it on your phone, let it hook up to your thing, and just listen away.
Right, exactly. And it's internet, so it's pretty cool. It's available pretty much wherever you want to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
So that's kind of what's going on evangelistically, and we have additional meetings and campaigns planned, in the making, so to speak. We're still kind of in the idea stage, but for next year we're planning on doing additional growth in the Canada area, as well as, like we were talking, some hot spots here in the States, be they perhaps Atlanta or again maybe even Cleveland again, and even here, Tyler.
Yeah, we definitely are going to continue with that.
Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. One other thing I wanted to ask you before we go to the break, unless you got something else you want to add, is to let people know again what are the different things we offer on the Armor of God? Because again, a lot of people are familiar with, but there's people out there who aren't familiar with the Armor of God. So we have different programming and different things that we offer
In that category, you mean?
Yeah, what kind of the Armor of God category? Of things that
Well,
we
if you go to
have.
cgi.org and go across to Armor of God and see the drop-down links, you'll see primarily there's 3 products there. The Armor of God half-hour program, which we have and is very well known from most of us within the church culture. Then we have 2 additional.
Yeah, that's the one we've been doing for
the last 20 years.
20 years. Okay, yeah.
And then we have 2 additional products, which is one, the web chats, which is where primarily Wayne Hendricks and myself, or for that matter, even others that we're working in. We've worked Adrian in, where he and I have talked about Islam and so on, and reviewed some aspects about that, which is essentially set up with a kind of a library den environment, leather chairs and all of that.
Fireside chat without the fire.
Yeah, but it gives an opportunity where, like we're doing here, you play off each other. It's easy conversation, except it's a very focused topic. You might have a few questions. It's unscripted, so we go anywhere. We go down rabbit holes, digressions that sometimes are really way off even what we.
But they're
were
very
talking about.
interesting. Very interesting.
And we're getting actually more positive comments about that in some cases, where people find it very interesting in lieu of the fact that because we're not so scripted and not so prepared, that we cover a broader scope of the topic than what you would in a sermon,
The
or a
main
sermonette.
program, Armor of God, is kind of aimed at the unconverted.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
while this
Absolutely.
is more, there is some aimed at the unconverted, but if you're converted, if you're part of the church, you can get a lot from
Out of
that
that.
conversation because it's very, you go in depth in some topics. That
That's
maybe
right.
Not go as so in depth on
Exactly.
the Armor of God programs.
And it brings out little nuances that maybe you wouldn't have time to do, or you wouldn't think is worth going down that road, in a sermon. Then we have the other product, the third product, which is biblical news updates and commentary. That product I really like because it gives me an opportunity to address current events and issues that are sociological and of which we're finding ourselves contending with, in the world as well as here in the United States. And it gives us opportunity from a biblical standpoint to tie the Bible into some of these things. And we've covered everything from politics to religion. We've covered pedophilia a couple of times, because that's something that I don't know about how many of you are well aware of it, but it's a pandemic size and scope worldwide. It's just not in the United States. It's
Absolutely.
worldwide, and it's a horrible, horrific situation that the world is experiencing, and people are making tons of money on it, sex trafficking kids and so on. So it needs
That's
to
one
be
of the,
spoken of.
I think what I heard is a lot of former drug traffickers are going to the human trafficking
Oh,
business
yeah.
because it's more profitable.
The human trafficking business is actually larger than guns and ammo.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
something else.
it's amazing.
So we have those available. If you have not seen them, probably
available.
an hour's worth of programming on those topics, and quite a few topics of
Hours
interest.
upon hours of different, because there
Yeah.
are dozens of topics that we've covered already over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And then we have the shorter Armor of God.
The YouTubes.
The
Oh
YouTubes.
yeah, that's the fourth
So that's
category.
fourth
Of
category.
which Margie, my wife, does pretty much the exclusive production of that, where we'll get a guy into the studio there in Ohio, and then we'll post-produce him right there in her office at the house. Which is, again, to your point, Lisa, the technology that we have today is just amazing. I mean, it blows your mind. We can work, here we are working 1,000 miles apart from each other and coordinating products that are, television quality, very easily television quality.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It really is exciting.
Right.
All right, great stuff. All right, so you have a Bible study for us when we get back after
Yeah, I
the
got a
break.
little topic prepared.
We're not going to let people know what the topic is. So if you want to find out, you'll have to tune back in.
Gotta hook you.
But I do have one more thing related to the evangelistic thing. We have a request from Mimi. Says, when are you coming to the west coast of Canada again? Do we have anything scheduled anytime soon?
Mimi. Is that Mimi?
In Penticton area.
Okay, yeah. Don't know yet, but plan on certainly a possibility.
I know
of
we also have
2019.
James Ludvigson is there also in Penticton, and they definitely have asked him.
James might even be on because he said he was watching. I don't know if
He probably is.
And the guy from New York that was watching, Rob Giove, he asked if you're coming to New York anytime soon. CGI New York.
New York City. Yeah, New York City will be
I'm
in there. Yeah,
assuming.
because we got a circuit going there. So
Okay.
Buffalo, no. We tried starting something in Buffalo, but Buffalo just didn't seem to work out.
Yeah, and again, back to the website. We have a place on the website where you can go and look at where the traveling schedule is as well.
That's right.
Give you a little bit, maybe a couple of months in advance
Yeah.
of where everyone is traveling. All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to get into a little bit of Bible study.
Hi, we'd like to offer you two booklets on today's program. We want to offer you, Is Jesus Really God? There's a lot of controversy about who and what Jesus was. We also want to offer you, What is God? Of all the theological questions that evoke controversy in the ancient church, the question of who and what God was one of the major questions. It's even a major question today. You can order by visiting our website, www.ccc.org. www.cgi.org. That's www.cgi.org.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and really, again, it's very good to be here with Jeff and Lisa, and they're standing by just in case I mess up so that they can kind of get the cane and take me off the stage if I need to be taken off.
Yeah.
But very good to be with all of you, and I did prepare a topic for this evening that I wanted to share with all of you because I believe that fundamentally this is a very critical topic to successful Christian living. And in all due respect to the topic that I'd like to share with you, I feel that and have reason to believe that because of being in the ministry for as long as I have been now, longer than I'd like to admit as a matter of fact, nevertheless it seems that over the years in working with God's people, counseling with them, being involved in their lives, many people now over, even in some cases, different cities who have come to know me and for whatever reason call me for advice or some suggestions or just to discuss certain things. I've noticed that we struggle. We struggle with things that sometimes are just really hard to break our cycles. And it's because we repeat patterns in our lives. And so I want to talk about this very fundamental topic today or tonight, simply because it's crucial that we get our minds around it if we expect to really successfully navigate through the Christian lifestyle. But I'd like to pose it to you as a question. And here's the question. How committed are you to change? Now I know some of you may say, well, what do you mean, Bill? I'm committed to change. You know, there's no problem. I mean, I understand that Christians need to change. And you're right, we do need to change. We need to be changing. It needs to be a progressive concept in our minds as Christians. But hold on just for a minute. Before you move on with that, let me ask a second question just to further qualify just how much we may think we are committed to change. And that is, if you really believe you're committed to change, let me ask you, what was the last thing you really believe you changed? I want you to think about that. Because we are surrounded, you know it as well as I do in this life, we are surrounded with things that change. Life is ongoing, it's a progression. Things change, you move, you lose your job, your wife gets pregnant, and now you have a child. Things are, going bad at school. You don't like perhaps the major that you're taking. You want to change the major into a different career pursuit or opportunity. Consequently, obviously, all of us have to stop and think, well, now, wait a minute. If I'm going to change these things, and we all know this very simply, we got to start thinking about how we're going to go about doing it. In other words, we've got to commit, don't we? We got to commit to certain action plans. We got to commit to making even perhaps some sacrificing. We've got to commit to making some choices and decisions that are actually going to affect a change to afford us a different direction in pursuing whatever it is. Even something as simple as buying a car. I mean, something that simple, you know what? You got to start out with, I got to go to a dealership. I got to go to a dealership and I got to spend time walking into this place and talking to a salesman, a car salesman. I don't like talking to car, but these are things that we've got to go through. Now, I know there's some things on the internet. You can avoid some of these things today, but you get my point.
We may have some car salesmen watching. So
yeah, nothing wrong with car salesmen. But the reality of it is, my point being made is that we have to think about the logistics, the metrics that are associated with what needs to be done one foot in front of the other to get to the changes that we want to get to. And in the physical realm, it becomes a pretty simple thing. Where it becomes complicated and more difficult is committing to the change and sticking with it and engaging in the disciplined action that is undertook in order to accomplish the change. Now, with that being said, I want to ask you to extrapolate that and lay that over onto the spiritual challenge that we have as Christians in changing our character, in changing our temperament, in changing our persona, in changing the way we approach certain things and how we approach it. Share a little story with you, this feast with me. I've been focused on watching myself a lot lately, and I try to keep myself in scope, as many of us, I hope, were doing. But during the feast this year, I thought I lost my telephone. I was in shock. I was going crazy inside, but I thought to myself, I'm not going to overreact. And I tried to start thinking about certain metrics in my mind that would not affect my mood or attitude to where I would begin to blame Margie, my wife, for telling me to take the phone out of the car because she didn't want me to leave it in the car, and I would leave my phone in the car because I'm not hooked to my telephone, but she said, no, you got to take it, and she put it in her purse, and then when we got to the restaurant, she gave it to me, and I thought I left it on the table. So I easily had justification to blame my wife, you see. But I was really holding that in, and consequently learning some things about me, about patience, about not being overreactionary. And lo and behold, make a long story short, I won't drag this on, I was leaving and I happened to open the bathroom on the hallway in our condo, and there my phone was next to the sink, of all things. Never did lose it. My point in telling you this story is that we really do need to commit to being aware of ourselves in every facet of our lives, committing ourselves to the necessary metrics that require change or the results of the changes that we're looking at. I want to bring your attention real quickly over here to Ephesians chapter 2. Paul appeals to us in this section of Scripture, whereby he himself is stating quite a few things to motivate us. I'm not going to go through the chapter line upon line. We don't have the time for that. But let me just take you through verses 1 through about 7, where Paul talks about the fact that we owe God quite a bit, because even while we were dead in our sins and following the prince of the power of the air, God, touching us in his grace, gave us a calling whereby we answered it and believed in that grace, and as a result came forward and accepted to the task of taking on the cross, or as they would say, the burden, to change and to engage in the fight and the battle of our nature. Now, in verse 8 through 9 and 10, and I want to read these three real quickly here. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it's a gift of God. We understand that, I think all of us do. In verse 9, not of works, lest any man should boast. For we are his workmanship, and this is what most people leave off, and we don't want to leave this verse off. This is a very important verse to engage and tether to verses 8 and 9, because it completes the motivational speech that Paul is mentioning here. And what he's saying is, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God has before ordained that we should walk in them. What does that mean, Lisa? Walk in them.
We have to do it.
Yeah, we have to do it. We have to walk the talk.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about. We've got to walk the talk. And Paul is saying implicitly here that what we've got to do is begin to follow Christ. And he proceeds then, and he says here in verse 11, talking about how when they were Gentiles and so forth, they were separated from the commonwealth of God. But Christ, who breaks down that middle wall and affords us to be actually included in now the commonwealth of God. And it doesn't matter what ethnicity we are. It doesn't matter what color our skin is. That's immaterial. What Paul is saying here is the blood of Jesus Christ covers our sins regardless. If we're a human being and we understand that we are up to the task of committing to changing our temperament, changing our persona, changing our personality, ways, and we are given to the disciplines that Christ modeled for us, then guess what? Christ's blood covers you, and go for it, because that's what Paul's talking about here. And notice in verse 19, he brings it to a close and states this in verse 19 of chapter 2, the book of Ephesians. Now therefore, you are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints in a household of God, and are built upon the foundations of the apostles and prophets, Christ himself, the chief cornerstone, in whom all the building fitly framed together grows unto a holy temple in the Lord. That's a figure of speech indicating the fact that you and I are spiritual components of this temple that God is constructing, of which we just got done celebrating, ultimately ends in the destiny of becoming part of God's kingdom. And we, as kings and priests in that kingdom, serving Jesus Christ to reinstitute the government of God on this planet. It's a wonderful story. And then he ends it here in verse 22, where he says, in whom you also are built together for a habitation of God through the Spirit, meaning you, me. We are the tabernacles, the receptors of the Holy Spirit, the holy oil, the holy water, however you want to characterize it. All these metaphors apply, illustrating to you conceptually so that you understand that we are servants of God and are obligated and mandated to abide by the model that Jesus Christ portrayed. And even Jesus, Jeff, illustrated it to us there in John 15. John 15, verses 1 through about 11. Yeah. I'm not going to turn there for the sake of time here, but Jesus' appeal there is that, look, I'm the vine, you guys are the branches. You can't do anything if you're not tethered to me, and guess what? I'm expecting you to bring forth fruit. What's that all about? Bring forth fruit? What do you mean? Well, we should duplicate ourselves, meaning you should invite friends, you should invite relatives, you should bring forth fruit in that regard. That's certainly plausible. However, also, the fruit is a change of characteristics. You should be more patient. A year from now, you should have your anger management kind of controlled a little bit. You should, if you're overeating a little, you ought to be able to stop it, get it under control. Maybe if you have to, lose a little weight. It's good for the heart and also the sugar. All these kinds of things go into the play of us having ourselves understanding that Jesus expects and has expectations upon us. So I think it does us well to keep that in mind.
I think that goes in the face of people who try to say, well, you're saved by grace and grace alone. And we are saved by grace, but it's not a lazy grace.
No.
It's a grace where God, from what you just read, he expects us to change.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, it is, and we have to change.
Exactly.
Something we have to do through God's Spirit. But he'll give us what we need to be able to do that.
And to your point, Jeff, there are people that actually believe that Jesus did it all for you. That you don't have anything to do. Once saved, always. You've heard of that. Once saved, always saved.
It's actually quite. There's quite a few people who believe that.
Oh, that's a very common and frankly Gnostic teaching. If you really want to know the origins of it. But the reality of it is, no, Christ did not do it for us. He showed us the way to do it and fully expects us to do the best we can. And yeah, you know what? We're probably going to fail in many cases like Paul did, Romans chapter 7. That's a very encouraging portion of Scripture for all of us to read, that even this very strong super spiritual guy who knew the law inside and out, Pharisee, tribe of Benjamin, and he had his problems in dealing with the things that he had to fight. He telling us that, the things he shouldn't do, he does, and the things that he wishes he would do, he doesn't, and all those things that go along with that.
If you're not failing, you're not doing anything.
That's right.
To fail means that you have to put forth effort.
That's right. Yeah, like what Thomas Edison say when he was building the light bulb? He says, now I know 101 different ways not to do it.
Exactly.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
But you're right, Jeff.
Exactly.
You've got to fail. You can't be afraid of failure. Fear, that's why the Bible says, perfect love casts out fear. Don't be afraid of becoming something you don't know of. In other words, God is expecting us to become something we're unfamiliar with, that we're outside of our comfort zone. And I had a coach, I've said this in sermons over and over. I used to play baseball quite a bit and football, and I know my coach, especially my baseball coach, because I was a shortstop, he'd always say, Bill, no pain, no gain, and he'd be on me, disciplining me, about getting the ball out of my glove faster so I could get a guy out at first because I was a shortstop, like I said. But there's expectations.
Oh, well, that's what I just told my students the other day. I'm a teacher.
Oh,
and I teach
okay.
6th grade. And I said, hey, you guys, anything that's a challenge in your life is for developing you into a better, more knowledge, more anything. I mean, it just helps you to learn.
Right.
Everything's a challenge.
Exactly.
If you're going to grow.
And life is built for us to develop ourselves. We all want to, or at least we should. A healthy mind should want to become something. A doctor, a policeman, a truck driver, a ditch digger, a computer operator, but a bus driver, but something. We should be designed. We are designed. A healthy mind is designed to become something, to make something out of yourself. So young people, get busy. Don't think that just because, the world might end or Jesus might return, that there's no reason for you to get an education. Oh no, there's a big reason for you to get an education. That's for sure.
That's a big part of our Christian walk is, we think about, well, we don't want to sin, but developing ourselves and whatever God gives us gifts to do, even if it's being the best you can be at whatever job you have, and learn everything about it.
Because that's spiritual.
That's very spiritual. That's developing
That's
character.
right.
If you can do a great job for whoever you work for.
Exactly.
And again, it shows to others also as a form of kind of evangelism. If they see that, man, that person's such a great worker.
Absolutely. When I ran my water treatment business and I would run pipe, and I'd see the pipe I ran, maybe run 50 feet of pipe, and it wasn't level. And I'd say, nobody will notice. Then I'd say, yeah, but I notice.
Yeah.
Tear it out, fix it, because that's what I would think Jesus would do, so to speak, So those are the little nuances that all of us should look to make ourselves better. Don't be slipshod. Do things right. Do things that glorify God in everything that you think, say, and do, because you represent Jesus, in your life. Over here, let me close out real quickly here in Philippians chapter 4. Paul mentions here again, finally, brethren, and this is key to helping us develop a better character, developing a better temperament, developing a better persona. He says here, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, honest, whatsoever things are pure and lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, that means excellence, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which you have both learned from the Bible, those things which you've received, whether it be in edification sermons or whether it be in perhaps even a treatment, a service, a charitable gift that came your way, whatever it may be in this case, and heard and seen in me, meaning we should be the examples to each other. The best sermons that any of us can produce, and every one of us has this sovereign right to preach a sermon by the way you live. By the way you live. Those are some of the most powerful sermons that we could ever participate in showing a good example of the way we live. So Paul says it right here. He says again, just let me finish on verse 9, those things which you have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do. Commit to the change. Do it. These are mandates. Paul says, just get to it. Do it. And he says here, and the God of peace shall be with you. So I think what Paul had to say here in Ephesians and Jesus and John and of course, John and then Paul in Philippians again, it has a lot to resonate with all of us, I hope.
Absolutely. I have on Facebook, Willow Al says, do all things right the first time.
Right on.
And Christine Duffy says, let this mind be in you. Yes. The mind is in Christ. And I guess, and I've always, again, looked at that. Whatever we do, doesn't matter. You should never give up.
No.
You should never quit. Don't start something you can't finish.
And let it reflect the best of your excellence. Even if somebody could do it better, at least you're doing the best you can. I might not be the best.
There's always somebody who can do it better.
Oh, yeah.
But you can always do it the best you can.
That's right. And that's what God is judging you on anyway. You're judged on your God-given gifts. You're judged on your God-given talents. And thank God I'm not being judged on someone else's, gifts and talents.
Because always this goes to the parable of talents.
Right.
And you don't want to be the one who buried that talent.
No.
That's the main lesson of that parable.
That's the main lesson. That's right. Because everybody's got some talents. And it's incumbent on all of us to do something with them. Absolutely.
you have anything on our cgi.churchonline.org page and comments?
Not specifically.
Okay. Because sometimes the comments, they're on there, but we're not quite sure what they're commenting on.
Talking to each other.
Yeah, sometimes there's a fellowship going on outside
Right,
of that.
yeah.
But that's okay. Sometimes people need that fellowship. So.
I do see. I see something from Skip that seems relevant. I think.
Yeah, he said when we hurt our ankles in football practice, our coach would say, "Get up and get back in there. It's 4 feet from your heart."
A good point. That's a good point. Good point, Skip. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you for being part of Mott's tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I
we're so
appreciate
glad.
it. It was fun. A lot of
We're
fun.
looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at our 2 services that we have.
Right.
We
And,
hope we're not wearing you out here.
no, not at all. I enjoy it. Yeah, might as well work while we're here.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and working with the kids later on with Bob, that'll be fun as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. Well, we thank everybody for joining us tonight. We're gonna take one last break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, we'd like to offer you a free booklet on today's program. We want to offer you the booklet, Evolution, Fact or Fallacy. No one can deny that our complex universe is an astounding, majestic marvel, but how did it get here? Where did we come from? Does it really matter? Can it be, as so many contend, that this all just happened by some fortuitous cosmic accident? Or did it come about as a result of careful design of an infinite God? Here are the facts you need to know. Get Evolution, Fact or Fallacy. Visit our website, www.cgi.org. That's www.cgi.org.
Hey, all right, we're back. Hey, wanted to mention to you one more thing that we have that was very related to what you were talking about.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of things on our website related to the subject. There's actually a whole sermon series that I did. If you look on Overcoming, you'll find all those. But we also have a book that you can find there on our free store, which is on cgi.org. Right there on top, just hit the free store. It's How You Can Be an Overcomer. And that definitely goes to a lot of what Bill talked about in that presentation, all the scriptures and the thing is that God expects us to overcome.
Absolutely.
And he definitely gives us everything we need to overcome. So definitely look at that.
And the book goes into some detail, which
Yeah.
will help them to develop some action plans, toward overcoming.
And it's absolutely free, like everything we have.
Yes,
This is the program,
everything's
everything we do is absolutely free of charge.
Right.
Thanks to our many supporters.
Yeah, thanks to all the ones who support, but we definitely want to
Deeply
make it free to
appreciate
everyone.
that, for sure.
We thank everyone so much for joining us this week, and we hope that you join us next week.
We're going to bring
right
Bob in here. Come on, Bob. Bob's going to come.
And we will be back next week. And in the meantime, we have a good night, and may God bless your Sabbath.
All right, goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Our free material is provided by the generous support of our church members and additional independent donors who believe in our mission of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the world.